cast on, join in the round, and then to start knitting in the round. Okay, so I've got my circular needles here, plus some super chunky wool today. So first thing that you'll need to do is secure your wool to your needles with a slip knot. Okay, so unravel your wool, okay, and get a good length going. Okay, and to do a slip knot, you hold the wool in the palm of your hand like this. Wrap the wool around once. If you turn your hand over, you cross this wool over like that, and then pull through like so. Okay, so you got your loop. I'll do that again for you. So place the wool in the palm of your hand, wrap it around once, turn your palm over, and then pull that wool through so you've got your loop like so. Okay, when attaching the slip knot to your needle, you always need this little tail to be facing away from you. Okay, so with these circular needles, any one can be your left or right. Okay, as you know, when knitting, you're always knitting on the left, and then the right basically does all the stitches and takes them off. When you're circular knitting, it is slightly different, so either one can be the right or left, so just pick one needle. Okay, and then we're going to pop that on. All right, if you pull the wool that's attached to the ball of wool, okay, it will secure the wool onto your needle more securely. Okay, so as you can see, the little tail is facing away from me. All right, you can also see now that the wool has actually got tangled in amongst the wire. This is very important that it doesn't happen before you start casting on. Okay, so what I always do is I bring this wool around so the wool is facing and is in front of the wire. Okay, so all of this is behind now and my wool is in front of it. Okay, so to start knitting, doing the knitting cast on, all right, we need to do a setup stitch. So we're literally going to knit into this first stitch. Okay, so in through the left and then out the back, and then we're going to bring this wool around the back and through the cross. Okay, and then you just want to tuck it through the loop and then out. All right, normally you would leave this stitch now on your right needle and then you would take this loop off, but what we're going to do now is we need to put this loop back on the left needle. Okay, and then just pull it a little bit to secure it. Okay, and that is your setup stitch for the casting on. So the third stitch now, we're not going to be knitting into any of these stitches, but we're going to go through the middle and out the back. Okay, so we're going through both of them completely. So you make your cross again and then bring this wool around the back and through the cross, and then you want to tuck it through that gap through the middle of them. Okay, so you've got your loop again, and then just pop that loop back on your left needle. Okay, and you can just pull it a bit. I always leave this loop a little bit looser because it's easier to get your needle through the gap. Okay, and then you can always pull it tighter when you're going to do the stitch. Okay, so I always pull it a bit and then go around the back through the cross and then bring that loop through. Okay, and then you can move those stitches down and then pop it back on. Okay, and then I go through the gap, pull it a bit tighter, round the back through the cross, bring that wool through the gap and then pop it back on. Okay, and then now we're casting on, and this is our casting on row. So for the cable hat that we're doing in class, we'll need to cast on 54 stitches. Okay, so we do this until we get to that point. Another little tip is that if you do pull this too tight, okay, it's going to be very hard for you to get through that gap. So I can't get my needle through. All right, so it's very hard. So if you do keep it a little bit looser, all right, and then you can get your needle through. When you pull this bit of wool, it'll only tighten it around the width of the needle, so you know then that it's going to be the right tension, and then you're going to be able to move everything up and down easily on the needle. Okay, that's what you want. The further on you go and the more you cast on, just let them go onto the wire. The tension will stay the same. Okay, so as you can see, if I move these down onto the wire, the tension still stays the same. They are just a little bit floppy. All right, but always use the needles at the top to just get that tension, to get the right width and size for the cast on. Okay, it'll keep all of the work very neat and it'll keep it looking really nice for you. So now cast on 54 stitches. All right, the second thing we'll need to do is to bring the wire through the middle of the row of cast on. Okay, and the way that I do that is you want to go for about halfway through. Okay, so fold it in half and then bring that wire through. Okay, so you just pull the other needle so it comes up to the cast on. Can be a little tricky, and as you can see, it is twisting as well, but we'll come to that in just a moment. Okay, this wire, you may not have as much as me, but it is just spare wire. Okay, they make them all different lengths for all different types of projects, but this wire is just going to be unused throughout the project. Okay, all right, so I'll try and get that off to the side. There we are. Okay, so we now got both our needles through, and the next stage now is to untwist everything. This is very important because it will make your work look very messy and it'll be very hard to see what stitches are what as well. So I'll just try and twist that there. Okay, here we go. To test that it's fully untwisted, I flatten it out in a horizontal line like this. Okay, so you can then see they're all flat, they're all even, nothing's twisted in the middle. Okay, and it's all sitting flat for you. All right, another important note as well is that you need the tail to be on the left and the wool that's joining to the ball is on your right. You're always going to need this to be on the right because you're going to be knitting from right to left. Okay, the next stage now is to join in the round. Okay, so first of all, we're going to take this first loop that's on your left needle and we're going to pop it onto the right needle. Okay, so just hook your right needle in the loop like that, lift it off and then keep it on. Okay, the next thing now is that we need to take the first stitch that's on the right needle, so the second stitch now, and you want to hook your left needle in. Okay, and you can use your fingers to hold the wool in place and hold the stitches in place as well, but you want to hook that over that stitch and then pop it on the left, and as you can see, it's made a little cross in the middle. This is securely joined all your stitches now in the round. Okay, so I'll show you again. Okay, so we've got both our needles, they're not joined yet. Take the first stitch off your left needle, slip that off, and then the second stitch, which is the first stitch of the right needle, hook that over that stitch there, and then leave it on the left needle. Okay, you will tend to notice that this stitch can be a bit loose because it is the last one that you cast on. So if you just pull the wool that's attached to the ball, okay, it will tighten everything up and you'll have a more fluid join. Okay, so it will be more together and you won't have as much of a gap. Okay, now we start knitting. So our pattern calls for a 1 times 1 rib, so that's 1 knit, 1 purl, 1 knit, 1 purl. Okay, so I'm just going to go in through the left, round the back, and then you knit that first stitch. Okay, and then bring your yarn through and to the front, in through the right, around the front, bring that through, and that's your purl. Okay, and then yarn up to the back, in through the left, hook it off, yarn to the front, around the front, do a few more. Okay, so another knit, another purl, and you can see it can be a little bit tight, okay, initially when you are knitting, and that's normal. Because it is the cast on row. Okay, your tension will come after the first row, and you'll find it'll be a lot easier to knit those stitches. Okay, what I like to do as well is I probably do about, I don't know, 6 to 8 stitches after I've joined in the round, and where the tail is, you know, that's the beginning of your round. But another tip is that I use a little stitch marker, okay, a colour that's different to your wool, and I hook that in through that first stitch, just so that you know that's the beginning of your round every time, and it'll be a lot easier to keep track of where you are as well. Also, another tip when knitting in the round as well is that you're always knitting the front of your work, so you're never going to look at the back of your work like you would when you're knitting on 2 needles. So as you go round and round and round, you're always knitting the front of the work. Okay, so if you've got anything like patterns or cables, you're always going to be looking at it from the front. All right, so thank you very much for watching this tutorial today with SJ and Grey. My name is Sarah. If you've got any questions, just leave some messages on YouTube or on Instagram. Thank you.